What's going on, guys? Tony Hannity's here from LazyTechGuys.com, and this is the LTG Mobile Moment, episode 2, and still a beta episode. We're testing this out, seeing if we can do this on a daily basis, and the biggest thing is just timing. I mean, it's about 12:30 a.m. right now, the 3rd of April, and the vast majority of you here in the United States are probably asleep, which you should be, but I'm up here doing, well, this, and also watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that's beside the point. The point is, there's a lot of news that goes on during the day, and we attempt to do a daily tech news while driving, or rather, not we, but I attempted to do a daily tech news while driving, and although I could do it carefully and safely and things like that, I just didn't have a lot of viewers, and probably the biggest reason behind that is because the demographic of the people that are using the apps that I was testing out, like YouNow and Hang With, are younger. In that regard, I just really don't want to be floundering in that area with a bunch of teens, you know. So moving on from there, we figured that we would test this out and hope it goes well. And if it continues to go up in viewership, either during live or after the fact or in podcast downloads, we'll probably do it on a more daily basis with a more structured time and a more structured kind of just game plan, so to speak. But yeah, this is all about mobile devices and mobile apps, updates on carriers, things of that nature. And talking about mobile devices, there was actually an announcement earlier today from LG. LG announced that they are going to start doing mass production on a new 5.5 QHD display, which, coincidentally, they have a press conference set for April 28th throughout the world, which kind of leans to the not the Galaxy, sorry, that's Samsung, but it kind of leads to the LG G4. So what that is going to have under the hood, I don't think any of us really have any definitive idea. I'm sure there's some rumors out there, but yeah, this is pretty much a big hint of what LG plans to have in the LG G4. And so for those of you that are watching live or watching after the fact, here's a picture of the folks over at LG and their beautiful models holding up the new QHD 5.5-inch display. Now, if you've ever played with the LG G3, you know that the quality of the QHD phone was impeccable. I believe it was like 1440 by 2560 or something to that effect. It was crazy resolution. But the biggest thing when you get into that resolution is battery. And that's kind of why when I look at phones like the Nexus 6 here also has something along the lines of a similar QHD display, the battery life is horrific. It's really bad. Now, mind you, majority of you, when you see 60% of your battery life, you're probably like, oh, that's not too bad. I freak out. And it's really more so on the reasoning of my daily job. I'm always traveling out and about. And sure, I get to go into a car every other hour or so, but being in stores and being in trainings and things like that, I just don't want my battery to die. And also, when I do go to press conferences for LazyTechGuys.com, I don't want to have to carry around a bunch of battery chargers. And until the whole press conference is surrounded by NFC wireless charging places, I'm just, I don't know. I'm probably going to keep my Note 4 for a while. So just kind of throwing that out there. Probably still going to do a full review on the Nexus 6. But in any event, yeah, that's what we're looking at from LG. And excuse me, they actually say that they improve some of the high contrast ratio and brightness compared to the conventional QHD LCD panels that are out there. So if this is something that you're interested in, if you're up for a new device and you haven't had a chance to see what LG has been doing in the past couple of devices, like the LG G Flex 2, or I guess they just call it the Flex 2 now. I forget. It's actually really, really nice. It's not QHD, which is probably best. It's the 1080p, but it's a really nice 1080p for what it's worth. Also in the news with regard to, I guess, hardware, Microsoft is no longer going to develop a separate Connect for Windows anymore. Now, I would probably say only 0.5% of you are saying, "Oh, that's too bad. I was kind of hoping I could go get one." Well, you still can. All you got to do is go buy a standard Connect for the Xbox One, and with an adapter, it'll still be able to work. But there just wasn't a lot of developers clamoring for a specific Connect made for Windows, already kind of built in with the adapter built in to the cord and everything. So to cut cost, you're going to continue, or rather from this point on, you can just go buy a standard Xbox One Connect, and with an adapter, I'm assuming it's just a standard USB adapter, and download the drivers from Microsoft's website. You'll be good to go, slam diggity. I still have yet to see a lot of use case scenarios where the Connect in the real world convention would actually be a good solution for people. It's really along the same lines with Leap Motion and things like that. It just really haven't tied into something on a daily day basis where your average Joe could really take advantage of, hand gestures and things like that. We all want to be Tom Cruise's character in Minority Report to a degree, but as it stands right now with our interfaces and things like that, it's just not really feasible. So, but however, I'm still excited to see this kind of progression development go on because, 5, 10 years from now, who knows? We could be like Tom Cruise in Minority Report, just without the haircut. Anyways, so yeah, if this is something that is for you and you were planning on doing development with the Connect for the Windows, don't fret. Still going to work. Just got to get a standard Xbox One Connect. Now, as I mentioned in the kind of pre-show or the show introduction, we are also going to talk about a lot of the companies that have to deal with mobile telecom, things like that. But one piece of news that I want to touch on tonight, which we're going to touch on again probably at the LTG show next Tuesday night, 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, is the fact that Comcast today announced, or rather yesterday, announced that they are going to launch a new 2 gigabyte per second internet service, and it's going to start in Atlanta. Now, first of all, I'm extremely jealous of y'all Atlanteans out there. Second of all, I'm not quite sure how much it costs, so don't ask me. I don't think even Comcast, at least publicly, haven't even announced how much it's going to cost, but it's going to start sometime next month. And 2 gigabits. Dude, that's faster than Google Fiber. And the fact that Comcast is, pretty much everywhere, all they have to do is lay the cable down. They got the infrastructure for it. They got the money for it. And they could, to a degree, beat Google Fiber's, reach a lot quicker than Google would want them to. But, I mean, this really is just going to continue setting new boundaries and new goals to thrive toward for all the companies that are out there. Personally, I'm a Comcast user myself. I have issues with Comcast on a daily basis, especially with their stupid Wi-Fi modem box that I have up there. I'm going to upgrade to a wireless AC eventually. It's still N. Can you believe it? But according to the senior VP of Comcast Cable, the approach is to offer the most comprehensive rollout of multi-gigabit service to the most homes as quickly as possible. So, with that being said, I don't know how the rollout exactly is going to work. It's very similar to what Google is doing. They're only doing in kind of random cities around the United States. I think Atlanta might be one of them, but definitely city in Texas. There's Salt Lake City, Utah that's just getting it. They're still working some kinks out in San Jose, California. But I'm sure Comcast is going to have to go through the same hoops to a degree, but like I said, their infrastructure is already out there. They've already made the plans with the city for their own cable and everything. And I'm sure they could, argue that 2 gigabit speed per second is going to help, the city to a degree. So no more, maybe no more hangups on city websites anymore if you've ever had that problem. So this is pretty cool. But like I said, we're going to talk more in detail on Tuesday, sometime next week. Now, there was actually a service that came out in 2010 that was very intriguing by the name of OnLive. And basically, what OnLive allowed you to do was you could actually stream games to your computer. And back in 2010, this allowed you to, play particular games on your computer and Android devices with a controller. And at that time, it was virtually unheard of. And it was really, really cool because you didn't actually have to download the game to your hard drive. I mean, assuming you had a good Wi-Fi connection or wired connection, you could play some of your most sought off games, some AAA games, but for whatever reason, and actually there's a lot of reasons, they just didn't have the backbone. They didn't have the financing. They had a lot of financing issues. They didn't have the infrastructure. They actually went through a whole restructuring process in 2012, and they actually sold a lot of their assets to an investment firm. And as it stands right now, they're going to continue to sell off the rest of their assets to the likes of Sony. And that makes so much sense, seeing that Sony, being that they bought Gaikai back in 2012, just around that time. We actually had an interview with Gaikai at E3 in 2012, which was very exciting for us. Coincidentally enough, we interviewed Gaikai just as Gaikai and at E3. And then after E3, Gaikai announced that they were being bought by Sony. So we were like, whoa, why couldn't you give us the scoop? Come on, Gaikai. Anyways, so yeah, OnLive's patent portfolio is going to go straight to Sony. And for whatever patent that they might have, any IP that they might have that is sought after, I mean, this is definitely in Sony's best interest, especially for the fact they have the service PlayStation Now, which, if you don't know, pretty much does the exact same thing. You can stream PlayStation games to your PlayStation console, and specifically the PlayStation TV console or the Vita TV, whatever they call it. And I don't think that we're going to see any major changes. It's just going to be the backbone, the infrastructure, and possibly some of the games that were exclusive to OnLive is now going to be on Sony. But this also might mean allowing more tablets, like of the Android variant, to be able to use this Sony PlayStation Now service. So, because if I'm not mistaken, right now, the only way that you can stream to an Android tablet is if you have a Sony Android tablet. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really know the details of PS Now, but that was my understanding. Or maybe you can't even do it yet. I don't know. It would make sense if you could. I'm just saying. But now it's a possibility. Although when they streamed Gaikai to other tablets, like a Zoom, I think the Motorola Zoom was one of the first ones to demonstrate it on. It was laggy. Now that be told, that was honeycomb. That was crap. So that would be good for whatever it is that they were able to pull some of the SDKs and APIs from, not SDKs, but some of the APIs from Android that maybe Sony just haven't tapped into, but OnLive did. This would be really good for Sony just overall. So bye-bye to OnLive on April 30th. So if you're still using OnLive, go get used to using Sony. Going back to Microsoft, they actually updated their presentation tool called Sway. If you've never seen Sway, it's actually a pretty cool web-based application. The way that it works is that it's kind of a simple man's way of creating a slideshow. It's a lot of drag and drop. You don't need to worry about like all the intricacies that you would if you're creating a PowerPoint presentation. Sway, I don't think there's a mobile app, but I definitely have tried it on the desktop. And, it can pull pictures from your OneDrive account, or you can upload pictures directly that are saved on your computer. And you can share the Sway with other people, even if they don't have a Sway account. Yesterday, they announced that they are going to update the Sway presentation tool by letting collaboration on projects. So up until now, if you had a Sway account and I wanted to add to it, I would have to have your login information. And, with security these days, you really don't want to give that out to people. But the huge thing that Microsoft is really pushing with Office is that you have collaboration on not only your Windows devices, but your iPad, your Macs, your Android tablets, all collaborative over OneDrive. and now they're doing that with Sway as well too. So I mean, it was only a matter of time, so that's pretty cool, and it's a really good move for them. Also in Microsoft news, OfficeLens comes to iPhone and Android. For those of you who don't know what OfficeLens is, it's a really cool feature. I have yet to find a really good Android app that does this without being like, because I know the Samsung Galaxy Note had this capability, but you had to use their Samsung Sketchbook, which, let's be real, the vast majority of us aren't using Samsung Sketchbook, which is why I think it's not going to be in the Galaxy Note 5, as at least not pre-downloaded. It might be something you can download after the fact. Just me thinking aloud. But the OfficeLens was actually one of the most popular applications in the Windows Store, and make your jokes if you want, but it's a really good app. And what it allows you to do is it's basically a pocket scanner. So, I mean, how many times have you needed to scan a document and, you tried to download some of the third-party apps on your phone, and even with the great camera that comes on the iPhone, scanning a document, it might come out okay, but the formatting's off or something like that, or maybe it scans a word weird and it's the completely incorrect word when it gets scanned into your computer, scanned into your phone. The OfficeLens is very, very accurate, and even if you're taking a picture of something off to the side, it still is able to read the whole thing. So if you're in class and you want to take a picture of the notes of what your teacher has put on the whiteboard, you can do that. It scans it into your phone, and then you can, I don't know, use OneNote or some other feature, I don't know, like Paint. Open it up in Paint and circle it, or you just take some notes. It's really great for business cards. It's really great for expense reports if you need to take pictures of receipts and things like that. It is available for free in the iOS App Store. For Android, it's also available. However, it is a preview. So in order to take advantage of the free preview, you actually have to join the OfficeLens community on Google+, which is weird. I know they're using Google+, which I think is actually great. They're taking advantage of the community that Android fanboys and fangirls really are catered for. Join the community, which is obvious, and then you're gonna ask to become a tester. I actually did this for the preview of Office on Android back in December, and they're really good about getting feedback and things like that. So personally, I'm going to wait until it officially comes out so I can test it on the Nexus 6 or the Note 4. It'd be a good chance for me to test it on the Note 4 so I can compare it to the Sketchbook app that comes on the Note 4. You know what, though? I can't even find my Note 4. I swear I had it in my car, and I have no idea where I put it. And what sucks is that that's my remote control for my TV. So I got to go look for it. Yeah. So there's that. So yeah, good on you, Microsoft. Last thing I want to touch on here before we move out is Snapchat. And on Snapchat, they had an article with Medium. And if you don't know Medium, go to medium.com. There's a lot of great articles on there. I mean, it's kind of a blogging post, but it's also a medium for, see what they did there. This is in their back channel area, but it's also Medium for like whatever, like, whatever that you want out there. But, obviously blogging is one of the big things. And they interviewed the Medium founders and the executive team. And one thing that Snapchat has done recently is they've joined the likes of Google, Facebook, and Yahoo by actually publishing transparency reports. And what that means is, when the government asks companies for information of their users in a transparency report, that company, like Facebook or Microsoft, will say at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter, we had 30,000 requests and we fulfilled maybe 10,000 of those due to our agreements and things like that. With Snapchat, it's a little harder, obviously, because if you don't know, the Snapchat's ephemeral. After 10 seconds or so, the actual message will be deleted from your phone, and it stays on the server for so long. But by the time that these requests come in, they're gone. And the other thing about Snapchat, if you didn't know, if you are sent a Snapchat and you don't open it, it's going to stay on the server for 30 days. But then after the 30 days, if you try to retrieve that Snapchat or that snap or that chat or whatever they call it, that message, it'll be gone after 30 days. So if you go on vacation, you leave your phone at home and you come back, any kind of messages that you missed within during those 30 days, you ain't going to see them whatsoever. So sorry, no DPICs. But the other thing too is they've expanded their bug program. So they have a bounty bug program. So if you're a developer or a security analyzer or a hacker, whatever you want to call yourselves, if you know how to search for bugs, Snapchat is actually enlisting coders to go out and search for these, and they will give you some wad of cash when you find one, and so they can go ahead and fix it for you. But the big thing is they've actually done a complete shutdown of third-party apps. Now, this is a big deal because on certain operating systems like Windows Phone or BlackBerry, for that matter, you don't have Snapchat, and you'd had to use third-party apps, and now they're killing that capability. But the biggest reason behind that is because, well, there's a lot of nefarious kind of Snapchat third-party apps that are out there. Or it's not that they're nefarious, it's just that the apps that they've created are very bad in security. I believe it was last year when people were using this third-party Snapchat app to save screenshots of Snapchats. Somebody was able to hack that database and pull all the pictures from this third-party app. So it wasn't Snapchat's fault. Even Snapchat said, hey, we didn't tell you to use this app. So to kind of protect themselves from this going forward, there's like, nope, we're not going to publish or even allow access to our API. Yeah. So it's definitely interesting that Snapchat has evolved to this, and I just think it's a good thing to a degree that they're trying to keep everything close in-house. Hopefully we'll see a Windows Phone app, because I know like Microsoft tried their own version, Facebook tried their own version, and they both didn't do well whatsoever. But I mean, without due respect to Microsoft, at least it was part of the Microsoft garage, so it wasn't really meant to be taken seriously anyways. But Facebook's, I forget what it was called, but yeah, that did not. But see, I mean, that's how bad it is. No one really paid attention to it. But that's pretty much it right now. Just so you know, we always have the Q&A open in the chat. So if you ever have any questions, concerns, or you want to say anything, or you just want to chat, you can always say hello, and I'm always open to talk. And yeah, I try to keep this at maybe like 15 minutes. And if I talk fast, let me know. Again, this is a beta show. Not quite sure if we're going to keep this going or not. But if you want to see a more full-length show, like I said earlier, we do our LTG show every Tuesday night, 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's myself, Sean Wilburn, and sometimes some other guests as well too. So you guys stay classy, stay cool, and we will talk to you later. Peace.